I I think humans are going to get better and better at sort of like parsing through stuff to find authenticity. It's kind of a game to see like can you fool somebody on was this generated with AI or not? We're going to sort of have to and will like develop that ability of like how real is this? Um, and so I think that'll be part of sort of discernment that we will develop as like this technology advances. Um, but I think like that sort of connects to the leadership point, right? So in the book, one of the things that I talk about, so I talk about these different shifts that I personally made and that leaders need to make in their kind of their own mindset and how important that is to leadership. But like a key component to that is authentic relationships. And that's like the fourth shift is you got to believe in the power of your relationships. And those aren't, and like the way that AI sort of plays into this is something we talked about earlier, which is like if I'm so busy, just like Neo in the Matrix, just like dodging bullets all day long, um, I don't have time to go like truly connect with my team, right? And um, so one of the promises of these tools is that that's that sort of higher level thing kind of like storytelling, right? That's that sort of higher level thing that really only humans can do. Um, right. So um, that I think is some of the promise of the technology is that it gives us more opportunity to connect. Like a lot of leaders who haven't been trained, and we unfortunately often make the mistake. This goes back to the tight labor market. If one leader leaves, we're just like looking around like crazy trying to find somebody who like shows up to work regularly and is pretty good at their job, and we're like, oh, congratulations, you're now a boss, and there's no training, you're now a leader. um, and that is when you do that, that person feels like I don't want to approach this other person on my team. Like this conversation is going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to avoid that conversation. Like you're going to avoid actually connecting with people because it's hard. And so that's another, I think, really valuable use of tools. Like we will say anything to the computer, right? We'll write anything on Reddit. So I can actually practice a difficult conversation with my like coach because I also am that new supervisor. Like I don't want to look like an idiot to my boss. Um, and I'm not going to go in and tell him like, well, it's your fault that I suck at this because you didn't train me how to do it. Like that's none of those conversations happen either. So I just kind of sit there and don't lead. Like that's sort of the like that's the default position for a lot of people, and so that creates this giant vacuum of leadership. It kind of ensures. I mean, look, there's a lot of companies that have basically as it's like not a bug, like it's a feature is that we are going to have shitty managers. Like we're everyone's experience is going to be bad because they have a leader that doesn't know what they're doing. Like it's just programmed into the way that we like advance people in the company, and that's terrible. Now AI, you know, can supplement some of that. Like you can get some coaching, you can practice a conversation, you can get yourself comfortable to now go have that conversation with someone on your team without having to go to necessarily go to a class or to have to go to your boss. Like you can practice that. It's good to go to a class and sort of get some basic tools in your toolkit. But when it comes to kind of like role play, it's a great tool for that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of promise for leaders as well, taking advantage of these tools, both creating maybe a little bit more space to be able to do the hard work of leadership, but also like get better at it.
Yeah, I think you're hitting on a lot of the value creation that I see inside organizations, AI powered, coaching and mentoring tools. in some ways, those can supplement and augment what leadership can provide to individual contributors, but the leaders themselves can take advantage of those things to make them more effective as well. I
Hmm.
mean, it's not restricted to just replacing some of the functions of a traditional, manager or leader. It can make you more effective while it's making your employees more effective at the same time. And so when we think about that from a
Hmm.
leadership development standpoint, from a talent management standpoint, I think those things are important. And then you also hit on some of the more cultural and behavioral things as well, where I think AI can help because those sometimes, like you said, those people are thrust into those managerial or leadership roles based on their maybe skill level or tenure, not necessarily because they've exhibited any particularly good leadership qualities. So if you needed to put someone there because you needed a new leader and you didn't want to go external and you were just sort of insular in terms of how you
Hmm.
sort of move people up into those um, more senior roles, you want to make those folks well-rounded. You want to make sure that they're maintaining good relationships because the dynamics, as you alluded to, the dynamics change now among those team members, and so yeah, there's a lot of area where it can help, but also some areas where I do understand where there's some people have some reservations.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, just to, like, to sum that up, I think that it's got a lot of promise for leaders. And I think that, we need to be thinking about those of us sort of in the leadership space, and those of us who do lead, teams. You have to be thinking about, how do I, take advantage of these tools and take advantage of these opportunities that I have to, grow my relationships, grow my impact. Um, those are those are really important things to kind of be thinking about if if you are a leader in an organization, or you're somebody who promotes leaders in organizations. Because I mean, at the end of the day, the kinds of companies that I'm talking about, like, it starts at the top, right? You have to be super committed to developing good leaders, or it's just not going to happen, right? It's one of those friction things that, I've got a lot of other things that I'm supposed to do that I'm getting judged on, that that are way more visible than whether or not I'm having good connections and conversations with my team. And so that is what I'm going to concentrate on. Um, so a company really has to, like, invest in their leaders. They have to, they have to really view it as something that's important. Um, the companies that do, they ultimately, over, like, the long term, have way better results because they have stronger cultures. They have people that are fully committed, that are going to work harder and are going to work faster and better. Organizations that have, like, leaders that are approachable. We've done a lot of research in this area, but if you have leaders where people feel safe and comfortable coming to their boss, you're going to get more suggestions. Those suggestions can be, like, game changing in terms of your quality or your productivity or your profitability. They're going to warn you of problems when they're like molehills versus like a giant mountain that you
Right.
somehow now
Sure.
have to, like, tackle. And they engage in organizational citizenship at a much higher level. So they just help each other out, which creates a much stronger culture. They don't quit. The like turnover intention drops by like 75% if you just say, my leader's approachable. So there's massive, like, business benefit to getting this right, but it's not easy. And that's why a lot of companies don't take advantage of that, and then they fall behind.
Yeah.